on the CTV News at 5. Talks break down between teachers and the provincial government. Plus, confusion over a ministerial order to remove certain books from school libraries. And preparing for pause in the pool.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. With the start of school only a long weekend away, contract talks between Alberta's teachers and the provincial government have broken down, and the province has the power to lock out the teachers. The province says it's offering a 12% wage increase over 4 years, something teachers already voted against in June. New in this round, the government also proposed hiring 1,000 teachers in each of the next 3 years. The teachers' union says it isn't good enough to retain and attract new teachers as classroom sizes soar. Teachers are in a position to issue a 72-hour strike notice at any time now. Earlier this week, Finance Minister Nate Horner revealed the province is now in a deficit position, and that makes it even more difficult to increase their offer.
We don't want labor unrest. We want kids in schools. We've tried to come with a fair offer. That's what's on the table. And depending where this goes, I don't see that offer changing because the data doesn't show that it should.
The province says its offer is on par with salaries earned by teachers in Ontario and other Western provinces. The Lethbridge School Division says they are preparing to open the school year on Tuesday and hope for a resolution soon. Now, a controversial provincial order is set to remove hundreds of books from school libraries across Alberta in an effort to target sexually explicit content. Edmonton Public Schools was the first to release its list of more than 200 books being removed, sparking backlash. The list is long and includes many Canadian authors and award-winning books such as A Handmaid's Tale, written by Margaret Atwood, along with books by Margaret Lawrence and Alice Munro. Aldous Huxley's Brave New World and George Orwell's 1984 are on the list. So is Forever by Judy Blume and A.N. Ryan's Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. All these books are being removed for containing explicit sexual content. Edmonton Public Division is opposed to the ministerial order. A former Edmonton School Board trustee who was sent an internal document with the working list has serious concerns.
It's pretty hard to think of a book like The Color Purple, for example, and say that's a pornographic novel. Does it include, sometimes upsetting content about, sexual assault? Yes, it should, in terms of what the story it's telling. I don't think that we should be always saying that we shouldn't have these conversations with youth. We should.
Education Minister Dimitrios Nicolaides says he will be talking with school boards to refine this policy ahead of it going into effect October the 1st. The province says it's aiming to clarify which books are in fact appropriate for elementary, junior high, and high school students. Edmonton's Public School Board is also acting on new legislation about girls in sports. Starting September 1st, only biologically female athletes can compete in female-only divisions. The EPSB says it will be sending a confirmation letter home for parents or guardians to sign. There is no eligibility requirement for students wanting to participate in intramural events. As students gear up to head back to class on Tuesday, the City of Lethbridge and Lethbridge Police are reminding drivers to be extra vigilant on the roads. All playground and school zones are harmonized to school zones across the city. The 30 kilometers per hour zones are in effect from 7:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. year-round. Along with those zones, safety patrollers will be out and about around schools to help students and parents cross the road safely.
Slow down, be aware. Kids are excited to get back to school. Make sure you're aware of your surroundings. Make sure you're watching out for kids that are running out between cars, off the bus, and just slow down in that area. And as well as students, the big thing is crossing the street. Use a marked crosswalk. Don't be distracted by any earbuds or your cell phone.
For parents dropping off their kids for the first day, the AMA says consider parking further away from the school to help reduce traffic and keep pedestrians safe. And an update from Lethbridge Police. 14-year-old Clarence Wadsworth, who was reported missing 3 weeks ago, has been located. Police thank the media and public for their help. A 52-year-old Fort Macleod man is facing child pornography charges. The charges come after an investigation by the Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team's Internet Child Exploitation Unit, or ICE. and Fort Macleod RCMP. On Wednesday, officers executed a search warrant at a Fort Macleod home. Jerry Lee Thompson was arrested and charged with making, distributing, possessing, and accessing child pornography, as well as failing to comply with a court order. Alert ICE says Thompson was previously charged for similar offenses. He is being held in custody until his court appearance September the 3rd. The Blood Tribe Police Service is getting a new detachment to help enhance its capabilities in the community. The current station was built in 1990 and was designed for only 12 officers. It now has almost 4 times as many members. Carson Marsouk reports.
It's a facility that has nearly reached the end of its life. The Blood Tribe Police Service will break ground in the spring on a new detachment as the province announces an investment of $5.5 million.
This new facility to house the Blood Tribe Police Service is a long time coming in.
Built in 1990, the station was designed for 12 officers. More than 35 years later, the service has 47 officers and 25 staff, simply outgrowing the current space.
Currently, we are probably in the last year of this building's life cycle. There was an assessment done, and once we found out about the assessment, we began working and pushing, and so, like I said, we're here today. We're very grateful for the contribution.
The Blood Tribe will contribute $5 million, the province $5.5 million, and the federal government will pitch in nearly $7 million.
We are the largest Indian reserve in Canada, and we currently have a population, or at least a membership of at least 14,000 members. So the police service are kept very busy with the community. So this building is going to enhance that service.
And the new facility will also allow the service to grow its offerings and be better equipped to respond to calls.
We need to make sure that there's room for a potential tactical team, a canine unit, as the chief mentioned, an IDEN section, something to do with investigative and major crimes. Like, these are all the things that we talk about when we talk about modernized policing.
Construction is anticipated to start in the spring, with the new detachment being operational in 2027. Carson Marsouk, CTV News, Standoff.
Brooks RCMP have an update and a warning about their investigation into the death of a 20-year-old woman in that community. A week ago, the body of Fatima Ahmed was discovered in an alley near South Shore Drive. She'd been reported missing a week earlier. RCMP say they are continuing to work with the medical examiner's office to determine a cause of death, and say at this point there is no indication of an ongoing risk to the public. Police are aware of several social media posts with erroneous information about the case, and they ask residents to treat what is circulating online with some skepticism and to only trust verified sources. Oh, Danielle Savoni, the long weekend is finally here.
We made it.
We made it. And some heat, too, is coming.
Yeah, so we have more reasonable heat for today. So closer to normal temperatures. We're at 24 degrees right now in Lethbridge. And while it says showers, let's ignore that. So we don't have the showers right now. We're almost done with this system as well that's coming up. Okay, let's talk about temperatures overall in the south end. And basically what we're looking at in Milk River is 18 right now. Medicine Hat 23, so temperatures really have regulated in the far south. 24 in Pincher Creek, we still got some heat. Brooks up through Drumheller, there are still heat warnings in place. Brooks up through Drumheller, and we're looking at another burst of heat. This is another long-term burst that's coming up. We're pretty much done with this system, though, except for it might create some late-day instability tomorrow. We'll talk more about that just ahead, Jackie.
All right, thanks, Danielle. Well, the labor dispute between the town of Coaldale and its employees is heating up. Earlier this month, the union voted to reject the town's third offer in a nearly year-long stalemate. Now the town has applied to the Alberta Labour Relations Board to conduct a single employer lockout vote. It's the final legal step required before the town can lock out unionized municipal employees. The town could serve formal lockout notice as early as Tuesday. The federal government announcing today Calgary will be home to its new Major Projects Office. The Prime Minister says the MPO will be headquartered in Calgary with offices in other major Canadian cities. It will focus on getting major projects built faster and attracting domestic and global funding. Trans Mountain Border Chair and former TransAlta CEO Don Farrell will be the Chief Executive Officer. Alberta's Premier had nothing but praise for the appointment. The federal government says it will announce the first of a set of nation-building projects in the coming weeks. Well, a local company is celebrating its 20th anniversary and has recommitted its support to the Interfaith Food Bank. Mikado Electronic has renewed its commitment of $100,000 for another 5 years to help Interfaith purchase food. In 2020, the company became the founding partner of the Food Bank Guardian sponsorship program and made a contribution of $100,000 over a 5-year period. As the company is celebrating its 20th anniversary this time, owner Mikado made the decision to continue to support the food bank to help meet the community's needs.
The community's given us so much that whatever we can give back, we're gonna.
It's one of those things where we have to constantly be out there in the community asking for this help. But when you get a substantial contribution or a commitment like this, it does make you feel like there is a possibility of meeting the annual budget each year.
Those who make a substantial long-term commitment to provide for the future of the food bank are honored as guardians to mark the legacy and impact they provide. It's been promised for years, but this time, the province insists Albertans will be able to ditch their paper health cards. The province has launched a digital health card. Officials say that it will be protected by strong encryptions to prevent the theft of personal information. The card is now available on the Alberta Wallet app, which can be downloaded for free. Those who prefer the paper health cards can still be able to use them. In 2026, the province plans to introduce an integrated driver's license and healthcare card. The Lethbridge and District Humane Society's Paws in the Pool event is returning this weekend to give dogs and their owners a chance to get a break from the heat while raising money for the organization. With the final public swim at Westminster Outdoor Pool set for tomorrow, the pool will go to the dogs on Sunday. The annual event raises money for the Humane Society. In addition to swimming in the pool, there's also an off-leash area, a silent auction, a barbecue and music. A minimum donation of $10 per dog is required, and dogs must have proof of rabies vaccination. Paws in the Pool runs from 10 until 4 on Sunday. And with Monday a holiday, there are a few city closures to make note of. City Hall and 311 will be closed on Monday. The Waste and Recycling Centre will also be closed, but the city's 3 yard waste sites, those will be open. The Helen Schuler Nature Centre will be operating from 10 until 4. Transit will also be operating on a Sunday schedule. The Galt Museum and Fort Whoop-Up will be open the holiday Monday. All right, Danielle is back with that long weekend forecast right after this break. Also, we look at menopause divorce when we return.
All right, Skywatch weather camera. What a beautiful look to the west. Look at those cool looking clouds in the distance. Yes, there is a system stateside. We've already dealt with that. We've already had isolated showers in many parts of the far south over the last day and a half, but mainly that system is off into Saskatchewan now. I'll show you the future cast in just a second. As that system shifts off, though, temperatures are going to heat up again fast, and we'll be in the 30s in the Lethbridge area by tomorrow. Once again. Okay, 27 degrees, the high so far in Calgary, 31 in Edmonton, Saskatoon. You can see this is yet another day where the most of the heat is in through Alberta and Saskatchewan. But for the further south, where it's typically been a lot hotter, it's certainly not. Milk River just 18 degrees. So the system really did drop our temperatures yesterday and today. It's 24 in Lethbridge, 23 in Medicine Hat. So it's actually warmer today in Brooks and in Calgary at 27. Drumheller sitting at 30. When you look at the warning, the heat warning still in place. Well, we still have some heat here and in Drumheller, so Brooks up to Drumheller, and this is now all going to heat up. So we're all going to get warmer once again as that ridge of high pressure, as this system moves out and that ridge of high pressure strengthens again. So there you go. There's that system off into Saskatchewan pretty much. Now, it's still going to be able to force wind up the mountains for later in the day tomorrow. which is going to create that late day instability that we're so used to in the summer. So we're going to start off with sunshine for tomorrow, as you can see here, but later in the day we will get that development. Now, most of the development of showers and thunderstorm activity will be Rocky Mountain House down through Calgary, but you can see these little pockets here. There is that possibility of seeing that in Lethbridge and then that tracking off somewhat to the Medicine Hat area. So smaller chance in Medicine Hat, larger chance of seeing any sort of isolated shower in Lethbridge, but it should be a lot weaker what happens and very brief later in the day tomorrow in the Lethbridge area compared to what's going on further to the north. Okay, risk of thunderstorm activity in the East Kootenay area this evening, yes, and then a small risk tomorrow. If anything, you get just a little burst of an isolated shower, a high of 30 for tomorrow. 9 overnight in Crow's Nest Pass, 28 degrees for tomorrow, a little windy, a mix of sun and cloud, and just a 30% chance of an isolated shower. Same thing goes for Medicine Hat, just a 30% chance of an isolated shower. You see temperatures will start to climb, getting closer to that 30-degree mark with a mix of sun and cloud for tomorrow. And Lethbridge, 30 degrees for tomorrow. Check out this warming trend that we're looking at as we head through all of long weekend with daytime highs in the 30s and a whole lot of sunshine. Just that small chance of a late day shower tomorrow, and it will be brief if we get it at all. And then even though we dip just below 30 for Tuesday, by Wednesday of next week, we'll be back in the 30s once again.
A new phrase called Meno-divorce is pointing to a rise in divorce rates among older couples, with some citing menopause as a factor. ABC's Becky Worley has those details.
Menopause, hot flashes, sleeplessness. But divorce?
I think Meno-divorce is this idea that a lot of divorces are happening because of menopause.
Melissa McClure was with her husband for 14 years.
I was so angry. I felt like I wanted to burn the world down. I didn't recognize myself anymore, and therefore my husband didn't know how to handle me as well.
They've been separated for a year now.
I'm having more clarity now in perimenopause that I'm no longer willing to be a people pleaser. I'm no longer willing to be a nurturer. And I think perimenopause really gave me that clarity. I burned my whole life down and I started again, and I just am so much happier now.
While divorce rates overall are dropping, divorce among adults 50 and older are on the rise and account for almost 1 in 3 breakups.
What can happen early on in marriages is seen as maybe a ruffle, and after the shift in hormones, it now becomes an avalanche.
That's probably one of the biggest things that I hear about is the irritation they may feel with the person that they've been with for the longest period of time. Sometimes it's the way they chew or, the way they, look at them in certain ways.
Something that was true for Pennsylvania wife and mom Donna Hoffmeister.
Just little things would set me off and I'd be in a bad mood and respond poorly. They weren't doing anything majorly wrong. I just didn't have the tolerance to put up with any of their crap.
She found help from an OBGYN who got her on hormone therapy, and Donna says her husband worked hard to understand.
He's one that he just starts to do and take care of things because he's trying to lighten my load. That's how he responded.
The pair working on their communication and still together.
I'm one of the lucky ones. He definitely, just even talking about it, I start to well up a little bit. I've got a good one.
We can give you the hormones, the HRT, but we can't do husband replacement therapy, right? That's something you might have to do on your own.
Still ahead on the CTV News at 5. She may be an Olympian, but hiking the West Coast Trail barefoot for anyone would be a challenge. We'll tell you how Clara Hughes managed to avoid that next. The University of Lethbridge Pronghorn soccer teams are set to kick off a new season this weekend. The men's team will host their season opener tonight at 7 against the University of Calgary Dinos at the University of Lethbridge Community Stadium. The women will open their season tomorrow at noon against the University of Alberta Pandas. Both teams are back in action Sunday with a match against the Pandas set for the women, while the men play host to the Mount Royal University Cougars. It has been 1 year since Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau were killed while riding bicycles near their home in New Jersey. Johnny and his younger brother Matthew died when they were struck by an alleged drunk driver. It was the night before the pair were set to serve as groomsmen in their sister's wedding. Johnny played his first 8 NHL seasons with the Calgary Flames and was getting ready for a 3rd season with the Columbus Blue Jackets. The driver has been charged with 2 counts of death by auto. Canadian Olympic cyclist and speed skater Clara Hughes is back in the headlines after losing 1 shoe on the West Coast Trail. and completing the hike in a ripped-up croc. In a post on social media, Hughes explained she was holding her trail runners while walking barefoot on a section of beach when she slipped and lost one shoe to the ocean. Luckily, someone saw the whole thing and knew just how to help.
And there was a fellow that was watching kind of the latter part of our little misadventure. And he asked me what happened. And I told him I lost my shoe. And this guy's name was Steve. And Steve became my hero of the trail, along with his 15-year-old son, Marley. Steve basically went into action and found shoes for me. And they happened to be from his son, from this 15-year-old boy who had an old beat up pair of Crocs.
Thanks to that family, Hughes was able to hike the remaining 53 kilometers of the trail wearing one trail runner and one beat-up Croc. Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, we'll tell you about one man's portage trip across the country when we return. Following the same route as First Nations peoples, a BC man set to cross Canada solo by canoe. The 8,000-kilometer journey exhausted him mentally and physically, but the reward was well worth it. We have more in this Encore Adam Sawatsky sign-off.
When Bert Terhart began preparing to paddle across the country, he hadn't actually been in a canoe in more than 40 years.
I was not at all in any way, shape, or form prepared for the amount of work that it actually required.
Unlike when Bert was a kid, when it was all so effortless.
Sense of adventure that you have every time you step out your front door.
That stopped as he grew up and focused on his career until Bert started questioning where his life was going.
You know, perhaps there's some way that I can make more of a contribution.
The 63-year-old began his solo canoe trip on BC's west coast. With no electronic navigation, he's paddled and portaged over the Rockies, across the prairies, now through Ontario, covering more than 40 kilometers a day.
The hardest part is not the physicality of it all. The hardest part is the mental discipline you need to get up and paddle every single day.
After sleeping about 4 hours a night, Bert spends up to 12 hours a day in his canoe, following the same river and lake system that Indigenous people have been traveling for millennia.
You know, if you want to know something about a person, you should walk a mile in their shoes. So I've just chosen to walk 4,000 miles.
Ben's planning to make it to the Atlantic by mid-November, but more than halfway through his 7-month journey, he's already finding a deeper connection to this place and its people.
It's an incredibly beautiful country. It's unbelievably diverse. The people are amazing.
While the strangers he's met along the way have left encouragement through signatures on his canoe, Bert hopes he's been able to reciprocate by offering inspiration to start realizing their own dreams.
You're never too young or too old to step outside the front door with an open heart and open mind.
To reconnect to the world with the wide-eyed wonder of youth. And like this picture of Bert portaging over the highest peak on his journey, know that no matter how small you feel in the face of huge adversity, your determination will always be bigger.
You just have to persist. If you choose to persist at anything, then you will succeed.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News.
Thank you for sharing this time with us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.